you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O's, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O's, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. Jimmy Murphy and Pierre McGuire here. Pierre, how are you, my friend?
Very well, Jimmy. Good golf game this morning. A little workout, lots of hockey stuff, and I'm with you now.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. And before we start, Pierre, I want to give a shout out to my friend Jeff, who you know is battling cancer right now, and they're watching with his mom. They got some bad news today, so we're thinking of you, Jeff.
100%.
Pierre, we're going to be welcoming on a guest we've had on here before, and a good Springfield, Mass native, Mr. Paul Fenton will be joining us here on the Eye Test shortly to discuss the Florida Panthers. And of course, Pierre, news out of training camp today that Sasha Barkov was injured. They don't know what the prognosis is yet. All Paul Maurice could say is we'll have more info tomorrow. But if you saw the collision, it did not look good. And, you know, instantly, Pierre, I was listening to our good friend Mitch Melnick as I found out about the news, and they're talking about it. It again brings up, what is the point of the preseason? We're risking too much with these players having a chance where a big star can get injured. And I know it's a valid question, Pierre, but I'm wondering, what's your take on that? Because I'm kind of two-sided on it, right? I mean, I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's also a chance for guys coming into the league to make their imprint as well, and to do it against a high caliber player such as Barkov.
Yeah, there's no perfect system. I mean, football doesn't have a perfect system either. Basketball doesn't have a perfect system. Baseball probably has the most perfect system because there's no physical contact, but guys can still hurt their elbow. They can still hurt their arm, their shoulder. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen. So it's pro sports. It's hard. It's never easy. If I were Florida, I'd be concerned about Barkov, but I'd also be really concerned about Tkachuk because that started at the Four Nations. Mm-hmm. And I'd be really concerned about Tomas Nosek, who's not playing. And they're very fortunate, and I'm happy that you got Paul Fenton on today. They're very fortunate that Luke Cunnin was available. Luke Cunning's going to be a very good depth center ace signing for them. And, you know, I don't know if they were planning on Nosek being out or not. I really don't know. But I can tell you one thing. They're lucky that Luke Cunnin was available.
I think it's great that you bring up Noche there because that's a guy everybody's forgetting for some reason. But, I mean, he was so valuable to them in the playoffs, Pierre. And I got to see him here. He was great with the Bruins. I always liked him when he was here in Boston. But I'm glad you bring that up. And good point on Cunning, too, as well, that they're able to get him in the offseason. And that goes to things that you've been stressing for the last week and a half about what this season is. It's going to be really, you know, measured by pro scouting and general managers. And of course, the guest about to come on, Paul Fenton, has been a great pro scout for so many years, but it's finding those depth players, right? It's finding those guys that can come in and be those guys that you need in a clutch situation, whether it's a penalty kill or whether it's a face off in your own end late in the game. That's what Tomas Nosek is.
Yeah, those guys all matter. They matter a lot. And, you know, you go back and look at where did the playoffs swing for the Florida Panthers? And I'm sure Paul would tell you the same thing, whether it's Paul Maurice or Paul Fenton. You go back and look after game 2. They said, you know, we can't play with our fourth line anymore. We need a 4-line attack against Toronto. So they put together a line of A.J. Greer, Tomas Nosek, and Jonah Gadjevich. That's what they did. Mm-hmm. And those guys were heavy, and they were hard, and they softened that Toronto D up. And if you watched game 5 and you watched game 7 in Toronto, those guys had a huge footprint on those 2 games.
That was a turning point of the series. Remember when we were watching that, Pierre, and the next day you came on and you mentioned that right away, and you said, Jimmy, remember that moment. Remember that switch. That was a brilliant coaching decision by Paul Maurice. Remember that he did that. And sure enough, they were on their way after that.
Yeah, no, Paul did a good job. He's obviously done a real good job winning back-to-back cups. Not easy to do, especially in this era. But I also think that Billy Zito and Paul Fenton and the pro staff there, Paul Krapelka is another Paul in there in the Florida Panther organization. All those guys have done good work.
Yeah.
They've done good work as a group. And that's why people say, well, what about their drafting? You know, this is where you do, when you drafted good players, you keep them around, and then you go out and go after free agents, or you make really slick trades, or you find guys on waivers that most people can't find, because waiver pickups usually aren't about numbers. Because if their numbers were good, they'd be staying with the team.
That's when you make that call we were talking about yesterday. Hey, you got this guy sitting down there in the A. I don't know. Maybe we take.
And you can't announce his name. Messy.
Good stuff. Also, some news. Speaking of the Bruins, we just mentioned, they have given Zdeno Chara, their longtime captain, and about to be Hall of Famer. Well, he is a Hall of Famer, but about to be inducted Hall of Famer. Zdeno Chara, new title with the Bruins, hockey operations advisor and mentor. So he will be around the organization a lot more. He's going to speak to the media tomorrow at Warrior Arena during practice. What do you think Chara brings? We saw it as a player, what he can bring on the ice, but what does he bring off the ice in this position, Pierre?
Mentorship. He can mentor young players in Providence. He can mentor young draft picks. He can mentor NHL defensemen. Maybe Charlie McAvoy gets a little helping hand from him from time to time, or Hampus Lindholm. So having a person like that around is really important. That's number one. But the big thing to me is, and this matters, I'll never forget when they traded Dennis Seidenberg. I'll never forget this. And on Johnny Boychuk. And I remember how upset Big Z was. I was doing all those games, and I remember, and he's like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And so he can now, not from a player point of view, but from a managerial point of view, say, you know what? You're miscalculating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not saying that the Bruins have done a lot of miscalculating, but there have been some miscalculations lately.
Yeah. Yeah. But going back to that Boychuk thing too, Pierre, I mean, look, I get why it happened. You know why. It was cap reasons. But and I'm glad you brought this up. It's an interesting topic that I think fans have never forgiven Peter Chiarelli from that. Like, that was the downfall of Peter Chiarelli. Like, once that happened, it was all downhill with the fan base and the media here.
I was standing in the hallway, and I'm just telling you, it was an off day, and I was just talking to the security people, which I always did in every rink in the league, because I'd always go to the rink on the off days and hang out. And Z was there, and I'll never, you know how big a presence he is.
Yeah.
We were just standing in the hallway, and boy, he was angry.
Yeah. He wasn't the only one. I know.
But he was angry, and I was like, oh, this is bad. I don't like to get the big fella mad.
Yeah. And there was another player that had to be restrained. I won't say the name, but he was that angry. But when you're in a situation like Chiarelli was in like that, and every GM gets into it in the cap era, we know it's just part of the game. How do you determine what player it is? Like, because Chiarelli had to know this is a key part of my defense. I mean, this guy is an integral part of the run we've had, why we won a cup in 2011, why we made it to Game 6 in 2013. Why can't he look at another play and grab him? Like, what is it? Like how do you work that situation?
So I'll just give you a quick story. We trade Coffey and Recchi to Philadelphia for Tocchet and Samuelson and Reget. That's basically the trade. And there were not a lot of people there. It was Craig, Rick, Kehoe, Scotty, myself, I think Barry Smith. That was about it in the room. And all I remember is Craig saying, everybody votes. And one guy said, and I'm not going to tell you who it was, says, I don't know if I want to vote. He goes, this is my only concern. If we're trading two high-profile guys, if this trade doesn't work out, are we prepared to handle
the backlash?
Because we had won the year before, and those were two, Paul and Mark, were very important parts of our team. And the general manager, who's done amazing work and is a Hall of Famer, Craig Patrick, said, yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. We're going to do the right thing for our team right now. And he said, I really think the world of Paul, and I think the world of Mark, but we need to add size in the back end, which we did. And we needed to add a little bit of moxie up front because guys were taking liberties with Ronnie and Yarmir and Mario. And that's what happened.
Right. But you look at the Johnny Boychuk deal, Pierre. I mean, all they got was a pick.
That's why everybody does it different, man. I'm just telling you. Some guys figure it out and some guys don't.
Yeah.
And Peter, look at Peter he won the cup as a GM.
Yeah, they don't win the cup without Peter. I mean,
you can't take it away from him. He won the cup as a GM. He left some cap issues there, and definitely left some cap issues in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he's in a perfect spot now in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Working for Doug Armstrong. So, everybody's like, yeah. You know what? Until you walked in a guy's shoes, be careful when you throw stuff at him, because you really don't know some of the stuff that goes on.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. Pierre, I know tonight you will be doing the post game here on the Sick Media Network for the Canadians and the Maple Leafs preseason game. It's preseason, so the game regardless. But we've talked plenty about the Canadians, but I want to bring up the Toronto side here. What are you looking at? Like, what players are you honing in on with the Toronto Maple Leafs that maybe nobody else is, that are, not a superstar like Austin Matthews? Just somebody that you think could surprise and play a pivotal role in where they go this year.
Easton Cowan's one. Matthias Michelli's another. Scott Lawton's another. Scott Lawton's important. Like he under-delivered last year for that team when he came from Philly. And I would have got that wrong, because I thought he was going to go there, and because he's an Ottawa or a Toronto kid, played in Oshawa, I thought he'd go in there and crush it, and didn't happen. So those would be most of the guys I'd be looking at. I think Dakota Joshua is going to be okay there. Quillen gets a good opportunity tonight, play with Dakota Joshua and Vinny Lettieri. And he's got to get going, or he's going to be going to the American League, because he doesn't require a waiver. So that's going to be one to watch. But I think Lawton, Cowan are guys that are really important, and Michelli. Michelli's already been really good for them so far. Their defense tonight, they're not. And by the way, this is for Montreal fans. Toronto's defense does not have one of their top six in the lineup tonight. They don't have one guy from their top six in the lineup tonight.
All right. Well, listen, we do have our guest right now join us here on the eye test, and we've had him here before, and I love his Western Mass background, of course, and that is senior advisor to the general manager of the Florida Panthers, Paul Fenton, joining us here. We got him? There he is.
Yep, you got me, boys. How are you?
How you doing?
Oh, look at that Tar Heel. He's ready to go.
Hang with Bill Belichick or what?
No, Owen Fenton. My son's a professor there.
Oh, wow. That's great.
MIT guy. He's got his PhD from MIT in chemistry. Yes, my son. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all that water in Springfield, Paulie. I know. It's all the water in Springfield.
A lot in the water in Springfield.
Paul, listen, we'll get to the news out of camp today in a second, but I do know that last week you and I were texting, and you told me you were on a way to a Stanley Cup party. You were going to have the cup for a day or two. How did that go? What was that like? And I imagine it never gets old, eh?
That was absolutely incredible. It was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where my son, who works for the team as well, had it. And we had it for Wednesday night and then all day Thursday.
Wow.
We're able to share it with some youth hockey kids that he's very tight with. The guys that came from that host the cup were fantastic. We went to first responders, went to my granddaughter's school, and then had a big party at a winery, which was absolutely phenomenal. So my son and his wife did an incredible job of organizing everything there.
Such a good story. I love that. See, that's the magic of the cup. People don't realize what it can do to generate so much enthusiasm in a community. And Paul knows, because he's won it before. But Paul, I think you would agree, like, that's the magic of the cup. You win it the first time, you're all excited. But then the second time you start sharing it around, and people are like, wow, this is an amazing trophy. Was it kind of like that in Fort Wayne?
It was. And Pierre, we shared it last year too. Like, I had it at my golf course down on the Cape at the Captain's, and opened it up and then brought it to Ocean's Edge. And I think the beauty of this trophy is the people that understand how hard it is to win it, and how important it is to share it with people. To me, there's no comparison to any trophy anywhere to the history in it. And I mean, I was not an expert to it. To look down and see the names inside the cup and then on the fingers, it's just an incredible feeling. And you get people coming up to you and hugging you and crying and saying, I can't believe that, you guys brought this here. And that was the beauty of the Fort Wayne connection. I mean, my son's wife is from Fort Wayne. She played basketball at UMass, and he played hockey at UMass, and that was their connection. So he was bringing it back there regardless for her and her family, and it just turned out great.
Well, see, Jimmy, that's an awesome story.
I love that.
That's why the Cup's magical. It really
It's
is.
got so many stories in it. It's amazing. Speaking of Fort Wayne, you ever bump into Doc Emmerich there?
I have not.
Yeah.
My son lives out on the north side, which is the newer growth.
Yeah, Doc's not there right now. He's in Port Huron, but he's tight. He grew up near.
He's got connections there. Remember that? Yeah.
He's connected.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That was his team growing up, the Fort Wayne Comets. When he was a kid, that was his team. He had two favorite teams, the Fort Wayne Comets and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well, I played my first professional game in that building and my last game of that year in the IHL. And then that place grew to the point where they made it a convention center, and that's where my son got married, was there. So I got the hat trick.
Oh, you got some great history there. That's awesome. That's great. Well, back to the news today. Obviously not the best news coming out of training camp there with Barkov. We don't know what's going to happen. He was injured himself in practice there, but it goes without saying what he means to that team. And already you guys are going to be missing Tkachuk for a bit. Who are some of the leaders that the Panthers will be looking to step up in the absence of those guys if Barkov's out for a bit?
I wouldn't even put it on a particular few. You guys have watched that team meld together and become a championship repeat team. They're fun to be around and watch, the way that they don't get rattled. And I believe this will be the same thing. I think they know that they're going to miss Barkov, but at the same time, they're just going to that next man up type of mentality. Fortunately, we were able to keep Brad Marchand. Sam Bennett just
unreal.
Hopefully, now he moves up into that spot, and whatever we do to make that 2 and 3 slot. You already know you got Lundell, you got Luosterainen, who's a natural center. Just the way that they're not going to get rattled over it is the best news of the day.
Yeah.
I see your fingerprints on some other acquisitions too, like Luke Cunnin. And I just said to Jimmy before you came on, Paul, like that's a slick move. It's a slick move because you don't know what's going on with Tomas Nosek now. And so you look at it, and I said to Jimmy a long time ago, Paul, I really believe this year is going to be dictated by pro scouts and GMs because there's no perfect team in the league right now. There's 0 perfect teams.
I would agree. It's good to have known the player before. So my input was minimal because, Brett Peterson and Pete Rutilli and Billy, when he owned Acme, all represented this kid. So the inside information to know some of the people that you're getting and what you're getting from them. Now you got a right shot guy. He plays both center and wing. Now you got a right shot guy that can win faceoffs, where before all of our guys were left shot centermen. So it probably helps in a variety of ways as long as he comes in and he takes care of business the way that he's capable of. I think he can be a vital part for us.
I agree. Totally agree.
Paul, I want to ask you, just for fans out there, because I talk to scouts sometimes and GMs about this, but how many times in your career have you kind of scouted a player out, you got your eye on him, maybe you have some talks with the team he's on, but it doesn't pan out. You either note it down or you keep him in the back of your head, and then you come back to him, you're actually able to go out there and get him. Has that happened before for you?
Oh, it happens all the time. That's the beauty of our sport. I mean, when a lot of times you'll interview a kid when he's 18 years old, and you only have so many shots at the draft, but you always keep your notes. You revisit with them when you see them, and it turns into something. And it's just a wealth of information that you put together for years and years and years. And over time, there's a lot of guys that have come to whatever organization I've been with. I was lucky enough. I drafted Patrick Hornquist with the last pick of the draft, and then
Nashville.
We went to Florida, and Billy's talking about him. I'm like, well, I've kind of got a pretty good relationship with him from day one as an 18-year-old, knowing what his contributions could be. And, on record, we never should have got rid of him in Nashville. That's for sure. But because of it, it ends up paying dividends here where we've been able to win 2 cups because of his influence.
What's amazing about Hornquist, he's Mr. Irrelevant. There are not a lot of those in hockey. In football, there are, but not in hockey. Last player picked in his draft year. It's an amazing thing. It really, that's one of the picks. And I know Paul was really strong in that pick. That's one that I was blown away by. I got to ask you this one because I need to know the secret for keeping Aaron Ekblad, because I know there were a lot of Brinks trucks pulling up to his house from other cities. So can you share a little secret of how that happened?
Well, I think, that's a Billy type of thing here. I think the way that he has treated the players and the organization from the day that he got there, and having the ability to pull the trigger, win 2 cups, and Aaron having loyalty in his blood, being the first overall pick for the Florida Panthers, what probably made that all happen. At the end of the day, the player has to make the choice, and I think he probably is very happy the way that he's always been treated there.
Yeah. Well, it's a great answer. I still can't believe he's still there. Not a lot of right shot shutdown defensemen available in the market. Paul knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, we've been talking. I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse, but it is a hot topic. How much has the whole CHL NCAA agreement affected scouting for teams?
I mean, that's a loaded question because none of us really know.
Right. Yep.
The elite guys that went to the OHL, most of them, if they stay there, are going to jump and play pro in their first or second year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the key is the guys that are like the middle of the road guys that are going to go to junior at 17 years old, play till they're 20, and then have the ability to go to college. And with new NIL stuff, like it's amazing. I mean, they like so many other sports are going to be probably cash in more so than what their introductory contracts would be in the NHL. So I think that's the thing that's going to take the biggest step. The question mark is if you draft a guy in junior and then he goes to college, how long do the rights last? I can't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's the case, and it goes for his whole 4 years if he decides to go to college, think about that. You get 6 years. It's like the old European drafts that we used to do. You take them and they don't come over till they're 25 or something, and then they step right into your lineup and they're still yours. So that's going to be a piece that I think is interesting to watch.
One of those things, because I know how near and dear to your heart BU hockey is, because you truly are a terrier. Shane LeChance could have been in that situation. He could have said to Edmonton, you know what, I'm going to leave BU and go play 1 year junior.
I know. I just talked to his grandfather the other day as
Hockey Hall of Fame grandfather now.
Well, he's well deserved. Speaking of Jack, to get into the Hall of Fame. And you know what? That probably ripped the heart out of him to have his grandson leave his establishment there. But he's quite happy for him. And yeah, that's the other part of it. There's so many different little rules that can change these guys, and hopefully he ends up playing when he's ready. I think that's the biggest thing. You don't want to kids.
Yeah. Yep. It's amazing that you guys were able to win back-to-back, Paul. What do you think it takes for a team to pull a three-peat in this era right now?
Well, part of it is probably keeping a lot of the same pieces together, which Billy did.
Right.
Give him full credit to to be able to get those 3 guys signed at the end is incredible. But you guys know this. Our business is so crazy. You have to stay healthy. Things have to go right for you. I love the Bruin fans that I meet down on the Cape when I'm here in the summer, and they tell me how much we beat them to death, and when they won the President's Trophy. I sit there and I just start laughing. I go, you guys, you do realize you lost in overtime in Game 7.
Yeah.
Back from
and 5.
There, I'm laughing. I'm just like, God, would you? We all Boston fans, and I'm a Red Sox and Patriots strongly in Celtics, but I can't be a Bruins one. But we all go with our passion, right? Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times this summer I got the you got our guy Marchand, and I'm like, you're number 900 that has told me. I know.
It's amazing though, Jimmy. Paul touched on a lot of important things, but one of the things they were able to do, and I think this was a Billy Zito move, is they got Daniil Tarasov from Columbus, and last night he steals a game from Carolina. I think Carolina might have held you guys to 16 shots on net, and you still freaking won the game. How important is having goaltending depth? And these 2 guys, Bobrovsky and Tarasov, are buddies.
That's the beauty. Our goaltending department with Roberto Luongo running that thing has, since day one that I got there, just been incredible. The pieces that Francois Allaire, his brother, the guys that they pick that are right. I mean, you look at Montalban in Montreal, right? That he was with us, and they did not want to lose him. They thought that was like an under the radar guy, and now he's thriving there. So I give them full credit. Billy knew Tarasov from his days in Columbus, and rightfully so. All of a sudden, you know him as a person, and he wants to fit him in there too. But he needs the endorsement of Roberto, because Roberto is like dead on with what type of goalie he wants to be a support group to Bob.
That's awesome.
Good. That's good.
Hey, Paul, we appreciate you joining us. I know it was a last-minute request. I appreciate you taking the time, and we wish you the best of luck, and congratulations again.
Thanks, Murph. Take care, Pierre.
All right, Paulie. Thank you.
Paul Fenton joined us here on the iTest on the Sick Podcast Network. He's a good one, Pierre.
He's done a lot of good work for a long time. I don't think people realize he was a really good player. He played probably a little over 400 games in the NHL, but he probably played close to 250 to 300 games in the American Hockey League or the IHL. He played a lot of games, like for a guy that was never drafted coming out of BU. And he came from Western Mass when there weren't a lot of Western Mass guys going to BU. Trust me when I tell you. The fact that his last season, I was coaching in the NHL, but he was in San Jose. I remember that clear as day. And he really helped David Poyle and Barry Trotz and Ray Sherrill in Nashville. That Nashville thing was relevant, and he was a big reason why. He's a big reason why. And, people in Minnesota, and I know we have some Minnesota people that watch and listen, they need to know this. Matt Boldy's a superstar in the league. Paul Fenton's the guy that drafted Matt Boldy. And he never gets credit for. I'm just telling you, Jimmy, he never gets credit for that. Yeah. He's the guy that drafted him. I'm just telling you right now.
He worked with Ray, right? With Ray Sherrill?
In Nashville, they did. Yeah, in Nashville.
They would have worked together, yeah. And he's probably, how many years older than Billy Guerin? Probably about 10. So you're right. Back in the day.
I'd say probably right around there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, though. Back in that day, for those not from the Massachusetts area, I mean, hockey players once you pass Worcester, it wasn't really a big thing.
Well, the big thing you had was you had Gary Dineen, who was really a legend from Montreal, went to Loyola College. He played in the Olympics. He ran a program called the Springfield Olympics. Billy Guerin played there. All the Ash brothers played there, and they were all really good players. I coached Tommy in pro. Tommy Ash was a really good player. My brother Ryan played with one of the Ashes up at Bowdoin for Terry Mahar. But then you had obviously Scotty LaChance.
Yep.
You had Danny Hunter, like you had Bobby Kellogg. You had so many guys coming out of Springfield because of Gary Deneen.
Yeah.
And I spent so much time recruiting there. It was awesome. It was really good. It was fun.
The old Olympic ice arena, right?
You got it.
I think they're
still there. Oh, it's there.
It's like 2 or 3 sheets now, right?
Yeah,
It wasn't.
it's not like what it was. It's a little bigger now.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, yeah, it's great listening to him there. And, like we said it there, but just hearing what his cup party was like, and you've been to them, Pierre, as a cup winner, but I've been to him, as a friend of a cup winner. And it's just amazing to see the look on everybody's face when they're right next to it. And they're like, that's the Stanley Cup. It's almost like it's a president or something, right?
Well, yeah, it's true. So when we won, there was no keeper of the cup.
They didn't have that.
We started the keeper of the cup because of us. We broke the cup.
Yeah, literally.
We did break the cup. So that's when the keeper of the cup started. But one of the things that I wanted to do, there was a gentleman that worked in the apartment building where Scotty and I lived, and we had the cup there, and I felt bad. Like I was like, this guy works. He ran the 7-Eleven that was in the basement of the building. Mm-hmm. And I said to Scotty, like, we got to bring the cup. His name was Steve. I said, we got to bring the cup to Steve. And Scotty's like, Pierre, you're going to get mauled. I said, no, I'll go really early in the morning and I'll bring it to him. And I did. And he didn't just run a 7-Eleven. He was also in law enforcement. You should have seen his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
You should have seen how it was amazing. I never forgot that. I was like, wow, that was so cool.
Yeah. It's amazing. And that's the best thing too, that I love. And I'm sure they do it in other sports, but I'm around hockey the most. So that's all I see. But my thing is when people that win it, when they remember the people that nobody's talking about, the guys they see every day, whether it's the janitor or the Zamboni driver or the guy that sharpens the skates, back when they were kids, like I'm sure Paul went back and saw some people he grew up with the cup, stuff like that's what's the best part of it.
I agree. It's an amazing trophy. Paul touched on it. Their names inside the bowl, and that's when I won it the first time. That's one of the first things I did. Is I looked inside the bowl because I had heard about it from so many different people growing up in Montreal. You hear all the folklore, and what I like again. You spend time with it, and you're looking at all the names, and you're like, my name's going on there.
Yep.
And you're like, wow, it's amazing to think about that. It's really amazing.
Pierre, quick news item I just wanted to bring up quick. We didn't touch on it yesterday, but I was unaware. Oilers, Chris Knobloch and Husker from the Flames coaches are heading to the final season of their contracts. My take is I see them both getting re-upped unless things go horribly wrong this year.
I think Husker's got a better opportunity to stay because the expectation is less than what Knobloch has.
We don't script this stuff. I was literally just going to say that and ask if
it doesn't mean that, Knobloch's in trouble, but the expectation in Edmonton is it's Stanley Cup or bust.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's a tough deal to figure out because what happens if Vegas just decides we're going to get after it here? And because they could. Mitchell Marner could be a difference man. I mean, Vegas is going to be really good.
Yeah.
So there's one of the issues. And I don't know what ends if Winnipeg somehow, some way figured. And I know I'm hearing all the pundits now, Winnipeg's going to take the biggest drop backwards. How do you know that? I don't know that. I'm not prepared to say that. Like if Mark Chipman, our friend, called me tomorrow and said, what do you think of my team? I'd say, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. I'm concerned, and it's the only concern really, can Hellebuck, especially after the Olympics, because he's going to be at the Olympics, can he get up to speed to get them through the playoffs? Because it hasn't worked so far.
Yeah.
That's my only concern. There's so much that I like. Arneal's a good coach. Cheval Dayoff's done a good job as a manager. Their amateur scouting staff's done a good job because they just can't go out and buy free agents. They're going to get Kyle Connor done. I'm convinced they will. Like, go look at all the things.
Yeah.
Cole Perfetti, we talked about him last year before the season. We said Cole Perfetti's going to have a huge year. He's just a 22-year-old kid. Cole Perfetti had a big year. He's 23 now. He's a man. So there's a lot going on. I think there's a lot of pressure on – well, I don't think. I know there's a lot more pressure on Knobloch than there would be on Huska. Huska's got to try to get his team into the playoffs and be relevant. The other guy's got to win the cup. That's that's a hard ask.
It's interesting when I talked to Chipman for the story I did for RG Pierre, we were looking back on the playoffs last year, and we were talking about how every cup team, it's always usually a gradual build to that, right? And there's moments they take from previous playoff experiences that they build to get to the top of the mountain. And one of the moments he cited last year that he to this day is still so impressed with was how the team rallied around Scheifele when his dad passed. And remember, he played in game 6 there. He said, even though we lost that game, Murph, there's something I came away from there with. We're like, we've got a team. Like, we have a strong nucleus here that really loves each other. And I think they can take, again, it was a horrible tragedy and a loss on the ice. But he's like, I really think they can build off that experience of just that one day. He's like, I never saw them come together as much as they did in that day. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I do too. I think that, and it's great that you got Mark to speak to you on the record. We talk about Jeffrey Vinnick on this show a lot. Mark Chipman and we've talked about him numerous times. He's a really amazing owner. He's part of an amazing ownership group. Those guys have to scrap hard to keep that team there. And you know it, and they know it. And he does it. They find a way to do it. And I have so much respect for Mark. He's on the Hockey Hall of Fame selection committee, and he, like everybody else in that committee, he's thorough, he's professional, and he works his butt off for the people that he nominates. He just loves hockey. He's a fantastic person. He really is. Mark Chipman's a fantastic person.
Yeah, and Mark, if you're watching, I hope you're having fun over in Scotland. He was very excited to come over there with his buddies.
I hope you didn't lose too many balls.
All right, and sometime maybe if we're in Montreal at the same time as Mark, we're going to have to take him to see our new sponsors, Vago Italian in Montreal on Green Avenue. They've been open for 23 years. Not many restaurants have been open that long, especially in this day and age, Pierre. It's a sad reality, but they have lasted the test of time. Private dining rooms for any occasions, B-day engagements, corporate meetings, plenty of free parking after 6. They're open Monday to Saturday evenings and lunch Tuesday to Friday. Fresh quality ingredients, old world Italian classics, and new Italian. Come see Tommaso. That's the gentleman you told us about yesterday, who is one of the most popular men in the Westmount area. So go over there right now. It is at 1336 Green Avenue in Westmount, Montreal. For reservations, call 514-846-1414. And they are open, like we said, there you go, Saturday evenings and Tuesday to Friday for lunch. Pierre, and of course, our other sponsors, Betway, where you can still go all the way with Betway and join the action. Thursday night football today, the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, not the most exciting matchup, but if you're into props, like I've been trying to check out over there at Betway, there's some great individual players on both teams. So go over there and check out what you can get for the props and the Thursday night football, and then the college coming up this weekend, and NFL Sunday. And before we know it, we are, I believe, is it 2 weeks from yesterday, the NHL season kicks off, Pierre, the regular season. No more of this preseason stuff.
Well, yeah, you're seeing a lot of guys get sent down over the last few days.
That's right.
Rosters are getting refined more and more.
Yep. So you're going to see more real rosters.
Now, Toronto's not dressing much of a roster tonight in Montreal. They don't have one of their top 6 defensemen playing.
Yeah.
They don't have either one of their top 2 goalies playing. I know Hildeby might be considered that just because Joe Wall's taking some time for personal issues, which we respect, and we hope everything's going well with him, he and his family. But not an A lineup for Toronto.
So you may, if you're at Betway, and remember you must be 18 plus, terms and conditions apply, always bet responsibly, maybe study the over goals on Montreal with a non-NHL roster on the blue line there for the Maple Leafs. All right, quickly before we get to our Q&A, Pierre, like you said, a lot of transactions today. The waiver wire is opened up. One of the players we see go down for the Ottawa Senators, Boucher, you were familiar with him, Pierre. He was drafted, 3 days after you were hired there?
Yeah, Tyler Boucher. It's Brian Boucher's son. Brian was a first-round pick back in the day, a kid from Rhode Island that actually went and played in the Western Hockey League. Yep. And what's amazing is I got hired by Mr. Melnick, the deceased Mr. Melnick now. And he asked me to be involved in the draft. And I said, no, sir, I can't. I said, I've been in this league a long time, and you have scouts that have been busting their tails all year long. It would be rude of me to work on the draft because of the fact that I haven't spent any time in American hockey, or in amateur rinks, except for prep school hockey, and there are no first round picks. And I didn't feel like, and I used the term hi hat. I'll never forget it. And I said, you have great amateur picks here, great amateur scouts. I said, they're the guys that took Jake Sanderson. They're the guys that took Stützle. They're the guys that took Tyler Klevin. Like, they're the guys that took Drake Batherson. There were a lot of really good picks there. So I said, I don't belong in that, and I will never hi-hat them. So I had nothing to do with the Tyler Boucher pick. But what I can tell you that I did have something to do with, I went to BU probably a month and a half into Tyler's freshman year to watch him practice and play, talk to Jay Pandolfo, who was there at the time as an associate coach, not as a head coach, but as an associate coach. And you could see that Tyler wasn't going to play very much his freshman year. And so we went to dinner in Brighton, actually went to the Stockyard, the steakhouse that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. We went out for supper, took one of our local scouts, Todd Sterling, with me, and had a really nice dinner. And I said to him, how important is school to you? And he goes, I'd prefer to be a hockey player. I said, have you ever thought about leaving? And he said, I actually have. I said, your draft rights are owned by Ottawa 67s in the Quebec or in the Ontario League. And he goes, yep, I do know that. They would take you if you wanted to leave. And I said, it's really important you talk to your family, though. And so they had a long talk as a family. And Brian didn't go to college. He went and played in the Western Hockey League. Mm-hmm. And that's when he left to go play for the 67s. And he played in the World Junior, and he had a big World Junior for a gold medal winning team. He was on the power play. And he's been hurt. I talked to David Bell, who's the coach in Belleville, a lot about Tyler. Mm-hmm. He's been hurt a lot, but this was a tough one for him because there was big expectation for him to make that team. Yeah. Big expectation. So doesn't mean he's not going to make it at some point this year, but he hasn't made it now, and that's tough.
I was just going to say, speaking of, to all the young players out there right now that may be getting sent back down to juniors or to the A, it's not the end of the road.
No.
Don't never think of that.
Jimmy, is that your phone that keeps going off?
I tried to turn to do not disturb, and it's not working, Pierre. I apologize.
No problem. I just don't want everybody to think it's mine because it's definitely not mine.
It's mine. And by the way, that was Paul Fenton saying, thanks, guys. Had a ball. So
he's a gentleman. Yeah. But anyway, so long story short, if you get sent, and there are a lot of young guys that do watch this, believe it or not, a lot of guys watch. And if you get sent down, it's no big deal because you still got racetrack left to cover. It's the guys in the NHL when they get the call in to go see the GM and say, by the way, I'm putting you on waivers. That's not so much fun.
No.
That's hard. So things are going to work out for a lot of you. And for some of you, it's not meant to be. But you know what? You still got a chance to play. And that's what you love to do. All
right. Good stuff. Let's get to the Q&A. What do we got? We got anything? I see a lot over there. There we go. Seamoke, who I think actually gave us some more coffee money there, Pierre. Yes, he did. $9.99 from Seamoke. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Pierre, thoughts on Lucas Reichel being able to stay in the lineup this season? I believe he is not a top six guy and won't play a bottom six type role, except example, winning puck battles, wall play.
If I were Lucas Reichel, one of the guys I'd get really close to is Michael Pekka. Michael's an assistant coach there with Jeff Blashill, and I would spend, and he's a friend of mine, so I'm going to be transparent on it, but he's a guy I really respect. I'm telling you, I tried to trade for him when I was in Hartford with our staff. I thought so much of him, and Michael Peck is a special guy. He's a hard, intense guy. Lucas Reichel needs to take a little of that Pekka and put it in himself. And I think if he can do that, he can play. But it's got to be a harder bite to the game for him.
All right, next question. There it is. Thank you, Seamoke. We appreciate it. Pierre, my son Elijah is a 6-year-old hockey obsessed and pretty talented player. I say so myself as a biased dad.
Yeah.
And we absolutely love the show. Any chance I can get in touch with you for an autograph?
Here's what Jimmy has my contact. He will get it to you, and I will send you a picture signed. And all I want is your son's name, and I will send him a personal note as well.
Simok, hit me up on Twitter at Murphy's Law 74. I'll follow you so you can DM
my
me.
pleasure. It'd be my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, next question. Renaissance Resistor. Does Thorpe have NHL regular potential?
He does. It's going to be interesting. He played on the line the other night with Florian Jacki and Luke Tuck. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. He's a big man. He's almost 6'6". We'll see. Not in the lineup tonight. I see they put Davidson in his place with Jacki and Tuck. Mm-hmm. So Davidson earned that fight with Poulin, got him a little extra love from the governor, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, we'll see. He's not ready this year. If that's what Renaissance Resistor's at, he's not ready this year. No.
Okay, next question. Randy Workman, if the Leafs have Järnkrok or Kemp go on waivers, will they clear?
I don't think Järnkrok would clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure Kemp would clear either. And I'll tell you, Kemp, actually, I don't think he'd clear because he doesn't make a whack and he's good on faceoffs and he can give you that Nosek type fourth line. He's not as good in faceoffs as people want you to believe, but he's still very good at it. But yeah, I'd be surprised if either one of those guys cleared, actually, thinking about it. You'd have to see what the rest of the league has, but they're both useful NHL players.
All right, next question. A to Z me. Panthers are in serious trouble. Barkov injury looks bad, plus Kachuk out too. What do you guys think they'll do now?
Don't forget Nosek either. A to Z me. So that's another one. So Mackie Samoskevich is going to get elevated in the lineup. He's a good player. First-round pick out of the University of Michigan. Watched him play for the Mid-Fairfield Rangers for the longest time. He's a really good player. And they signed Luke Cunnin. We were talking about that before with Paul Fenton. So they've kind of protected themselves a little bit. The fact they were able to keep Ekblad, Marchand, and Bennett is huge. And Luostarinen can play center. So they're kind of protected. They'll have to move some guys around in the American League from Charlotte up. And they've sent a bunch of guys down to Charlotte, too, the last couple of days. Florida has. So their camp numbers are getting manageable there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, next question. Juice _031017. There's a lot of star players in the NHL, but what are the biggest differences that separate superstars from regular star players?
Consistency. It's an amazing thing. The guys that are superstars can do it almost every single game. Those are the guys that get 85 to 105 to 120 points. It's amazing how consistent they are in every game. Those superstar guys have game plans drawn up to beat them up, and they find a way to overcome it. A regular player will give you 3 good games and 1 marginal game, and then 2 good games and then 2 marginal games. They don't have that same consistency factor that a superstar would have.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell, do you see the NHL shifting toward the international games like the NFL is? I'm sure it's hard with a big difference in schedule between the two leagues.
They are definitely doing it. We had Bill Daly on here, and he was amazingly kind to us, and he always has been. Yep. And we know that he's a regular viewer of the show, so Bill, we're grateful. But the NHL still wants to grow it. And Jimmy and I had a meeting, and Jimmy, you're not to say anything, with somebody we really care about from the European side of things, and they are prepared to do something that I think would be amazing, is to have 4 teams go there and do their rookie, it's not even rookie, their prospect event in this one European city to try to gauge the level of interest. And I think it's a brilliant thing. We're just, Jimmy, it's too early to say anything publicly, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It would be really interesting. So the NHL is trying to do that. The answer is yes.
All right, next question. Hendricks that can play bro. Jacob Fowler, he meant to say Fowler, is said to be the next Carey Price, but if that were true, why was he not drafted higher? 6'2" instead of 6'3" standard, that much of a big deal?
I laughed when he slipped so much. I told Jimmy, I said, this guy might be the steal of the draft. I couldn't believe it. And he had won a Clark Cup in Youngstown. And Jimmy, you remember, I was like, Montreal, I don't know how they pulled this one off, but they did. Like a lot of guys went to sleep on that one. I couldn't believe it. I don't think he's Carey Price. It's too easy to say that. I think he's Marty Brodeur.
Yeah.
I do. And I've said this from the minute I saw that kid. Jimmy, you know, that's the guy that I've compared him to forever. It's not that – it's just Marty was different than Carey. And I think Fowler's different than Carey too.
But to what the listener viewer is asking up here with the part about the height and all that, you think there's too much what's the word I'm looking for? Like typecast. Are goalies typecasted too much right now?
They are. You know what happened too, and this is a good story. Paul Fenton was part of this along with Reichel. But it was Jarmo Kekalainen's brother Yanni that played the biggest role, Pekka Rinne. So Pekka Rinne is 6'6". And he never played because he was backup to Nicholas Backstrom for their team that they were on in Finland. And Backstrom got all the games. And Yanni Kekalainen called Ray Shiro and Paul Fenton up and said, look, probably the best goalie that I've seen this year is a kid named Pekka Rinne, but he never plays. And if you want to scout him, you got to go watch him in warm-up or the off-day practice because he's never going to get in a game. Backstrom's a superhero. Backstrom went on to have a good career with Minnesota Wild. So Ray went over there. And I'm sure Paul did too. And they watched Pekka Rinne, and all of a sudden Pekka Rinne is in the NHL. And now people are like, oh my gosh, this guy's 6'6", and nobody can see the net. And so he kind of started a lot of that stuff, you know, because everyone's like, Pekka Rinne, where did this guy come from?
Yep.
Well, he came from a really good amateur scout, Yanni Kekalainen, that saw it, and that's how the whole thing took legs.
Yeah. And it's interesting now because what's his name? Why am I drawing a blank right now? Their goalie, Pierre. Why can't I think of the Nashville goalie? Their current goalie.
Oh, he's 5 foot.
Yeah, like it's like they just went the complete opposite way. So at least they didn't stick with the tall guy. They're like, we're going how he plays, not just his height.
But he's a Finn, so they stayed in Finland.
Yep. All right, next question. Max Del Silva. I have a great question for you, Pierre. Remember how special Kevin Stevens was as a power forward? Who in the NHL right now would you compare him to for everything he could bring to the table?
Boldy's getting close. Matt Boldy in Minnesota is getting really close. He really is. Brady, I wish if Brady skated a little quicker, Brady would be pretty similar. Yeah. Brady would be really similar. That's all I'm going to say.
And Shane, help my memory.
Yeah, UC Saros.
All right, next question.
Yeah, so that would be it.
Yeah. Murray McDonald, could the Habs be saving the cap space for a waiver claim, or do you see a trade in the future?
Probably one or the other. I don't think what they need is going to be on waivers. I think it's going to be more of a move. This is important for that gentleman that just sent the question. There's 16 teams, $4 million or more under the cap. 16, half the league. Half the league's under the cap, like by $4 million or more. One team's $20 million under. Anaheim.
They're a good team. Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, like, people are saving their nuggets.
Yeah. And would you say because of that, Pierre, you're not going to see as many big names or high caliber players on waivers?
No, you could because there are people saying, you know what? It's what
they just want to dump. Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's like our theory before. And Paul agreed.
Yeah, he did.
This is the year. I'm telling you guys, I've never seen it like this in a long, like freaking A, since 1990. So, you know, a long time, 30 whatever years.
Yeah.
35 turning 36. And all I'm going to tell you, Jimmy, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom of my heart, GMs and pro scouts are going to rule the day this year. And if they don't, your team's not going to win.
They're going to lose.
They're not going to win.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell gives us a little more coffee money there. Thanks, Ethan. Can't thank you guys enough for all you do. You have educated me so much in the game and in my coaching style / ideas. I appreciate it every day. Go you.
Ethan, you're a good man. Dude, you've been with us right from the beginning. We're really appreciative. And the one thing I'll miss this year, because I loved doing those TV games last year for UMass, I won't be doing those this year because of my responsibilities with the Penguins and some other situations I have with CBS Sports and
other jobs.
got a few other things, but it's not because I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'll be watching those games on TV. One of the things that really pumps me up when I got the call yesterday to be on the Hobie Baker selection committee, I was like so jacked up because I just love Friday nights and Saturdays. I love watching those college games. I love watching those college.
He does. All right. Next question. Outdoor Dad, who is the best AHL player you've seen that never made the NHL?
Well, there are guys that. What do you mean make it? Because there's one
I
guy.
think like established a career and stuck. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
played a couple games.
I had Michel Picard.
Mhm.
Michel Picard was an amazing American Hockey League player. Like in my time, it changes from year, but back then you had to be really good. They weren't 32 teams back then. Michel Picard was really good. I had a guy, Michel Chalafou, really good, really, really good. So, or it actually was Denny Chalafou. Michel Picard, Denny Chalafou. I had both those guys. They were both really good players. I've seen a lot of really good American League players that never really got a chance to play. But I love it when guys break through. I really do.
All right. I think we got one more. Let's do one more, and then we got to get out of here because Shane, like Pierre, is a very busy man. He's got more gigs coming up. All right, Gabriel Lamb. Will there be any AHL teams moving? I did see something on Bridgeport.
I think, there's going to be expansion, NHL expansion. And when there's NHL expansion, there's going to be American League expansion.
Yep.
So I don't know about moving. I haven't heard anything on that yet. Bridgeport, I think.
Bridgeport, but nothing materialized yet.
Not yet, but I know that they've talked about it. It's an amazing building in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
They just got to win. They haven't played a playoff game in forever there.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. But you start to run out of markets in the Northeast. You're gonna have to find markets in the Midwest. And I can tell you what's really interesting is how proactive people are being because of the major junior USHL stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, we'll see.
Mike Gaudette says, what about PEI? Hey, I don't mind taking
I was there for 6 months. We had a team there. PEI would be great, but now that the bridge is in, it's a little bit easier. But the problem in the Maritimes is all those American League teams moved. There's nobody in St. John. There's nobody in St. John's. There's nobody in Freddie Beach. There's nobody in Moncton. All those teams have moved. Portland Pirates aren't there anymore. They've moved. So all those teams up there, they're all moved. And there's a real good chance at Lewiston, which is an NCDC league now team. There's a real good chance they're going to get a Quebec Major Junior League team.
Yep.
And so if that happens, that's going to cement the Maritimes and Central Quebec.
Yes.
And so I don't see any American League team going, and I'd be surprised, really surprised.
All right. Well, listen, we want to thank Paul Fenton for joining us here. It was great listening to him. Congratulations again to his second consecutive Stanley Cup. And thanks to Shane working the boards up there in Montreal. And thanks to you, the viewers and listeners, and for all your questions. We appreciate it.
And we apologize, too, because we know there's a ton of people that want to talk, and we would love to. Tomorrow is Friday.
Tomorrow's Friday, so
There's no question. So I want to apologize for that right now.
Yeah.
It's one of those tough deals, and we feel bad.
Yeah.
Monday, I promise. Maybe we'll cut our guests shorter on Monday, and we'll more questions.
I'm even thinking at least maybe once a month, Pierre. I was thinking about this today. Maybe we just have one whole show questions. Maybe, a big, at the end of a month, people have these ideas and questions building up. Maybe we do that because I appreciate all
without the people, we got nothing going.
Exactly.
So we're so grateful. Thank you. You have no idea how much this show has grown, and we're really appreciative. Thank you.
We're psyched. Well, listen, this has been another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. We will talk to you tomorrow on Campus Friday. Have a good weekend.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.